So another tool that was really useful was this duckbill deck wrecker, and it looks just like this. Amazon carries it, probably major retail places. I got it on OfferUp for like 70, 60 bucks used. As good as new, probably 150 new, 120. But anyway, basically fits over the joists and pries up. So if I put it over the joist like this, I can put very little effort into going over each joist and prying it. Now the very end of my boards are rotten, and so it's going to leave nails. And so instead of going back and pulling my nails, I actually used something else. I don't know if it's a no-no or not, but it worked for me, and hopefully it doesn't come back to get me later. And then this last piece has a hook on it, so I can actually pop up that last piece. And then for the nails that are there, you know, you obviously have a lot of options. You can use the oscillating saw. I use one of these, and let me get the battery for it. The oscillating saw was okay, but the blades are expensive and they wear out too quickly. And so whenever I had to go back and get all these nails picked up, this took forever. Nail pulling was rough because they were old and really difficult to pull out. So I just used one of these with a metal cut saw on it, and it just really easily went across and cut through all of them. So really fast, really saved me a lot of time. So also I had too big of a span in the length of my joists, and so I ended up having to block them. They're 2x10s, and that was long and pretty tedious, but you have a different structural unit on top as opposed to having all of the old boards nailed in. These are the hidden fasteners, and so you would assume that they shift a bit because they're not directly screwed in. So I went through and did the blocking about every 4 feet as needed. And you know, there's a couple little gaps and stuff like that, but I did the best that I could. And this is the clamshell Trex decking, which is the lowest cost in the series. And I mean, I think it looks great so far. I like the looks of it, and durability is supposed to be pretty close to the more expensive ones. But looking at the joists, I was actually really pleasantly surprised. These are 20 to 25 year old joists that have been there a long time, and I was really pleased with just how they looked whenever I pulled a lot of the wood up, because the wood got really rotten. And the big reason why I'm pulling this is because you just could step right through it, and so the replacement was really needed. And then on top of the joists, after I would cut them, I would wire brush them just to kind of clean them and run a blower pack. Run my blower over there just to get all the excess dust off, and then I would tape them. And I don't have any clear evidence of why I taped them, but I saw a lot of testimonials online from people, and I'll tape across this, that taping it with the Trex extended life Trex Protect joist tape just adds waterproofing and protection down the road, because I really would like this to last a while. And so I would clean these boards, I would wire brush them, then I would blow them off really good, and then I would put the taping on, and then I would start my layers of the Trex decking. So anyway, so far so good, it seems. I've been pretty happy with some of this. I've learned quite a bit. The going has been very slow, but I'm just trying not to make any mistakes and kind of figure this out. And I'm probably about 2/3 of the way done. So the deck's basically done, except for the rails. I'm using the decking for the rails. I just ran out and I have some more on order. And I had to do the solid edge, obviously, for that, for aesthetics. But got the steps in, got everything in. Everything seems to look pretty good. making sure there's a gap there in case of expansion, and we're supposed to have some pretty high heat next week. Not sure what I'm going to do with the stairs because I'm not comfortable with the gap between the center joist here. Basically, it's not a joist, but the centerpiece here, it's too wide. It's wider than 16 inches. So I may just go with replacing it with wood again and then just painting it the color of the house, which is not cosmic. It's I'll remember by the end of the video. Anyway, I wanted to talk about some tools that made life a lot easier and a couple things that I wish I had had in the process. But to start off with, as I showed earlier, the Sawzall was really good for cutting out the nails. Metal tip, much better than anything else. Prying it off was hard. Cutting it was hard with an oscillating saw. Everything like that. For real quick cuts, just having a handsaw like that worked out perfectly. I was really glad that I had that. For once the deck was uncovered and I just had the joists showing, I liked using this wire brush to clean it and really just get any mildew off or anything like that, roughen the edge a bit, get any dead wood off that might have been there, and then running a blower to blow clean all of that. And I don't have any rolls left, but I used that deck tape, and I don't know if you can see it if you look really closely, but I ran deck tape along underneath all of the joists. And a lot of people just say to use that for the protection of your wood. So I'd have the exposed joists underneath, and then I would run the deck tape over the top, and then I would put the top on. And I used the hidden fasteners, and I really liked this Trex tool for the hidden fasteners because it just made life a lot easier. And so when you would take a hidden fastener, you could just snap it right in to the piece. And the nice thing about it is when you would slide it in, it not only kept it upright so that it didn't fall out whenever you brought your drill in. And your drill, I had a longer tip, but you bring your drill in and it just runs perfectly in. I use this tip here. And I'm pretty certain that this tip came in the fastener box, thankfully. But it was just, it kept everything straight. It made things a lot quicker. Plus, you want to keep some tension pulled against the board as you're driving it in so that you maintain that gap, especially with the warped pieces. It was nice to be able to pull hard on this, pull hard, and then also do the screw in itself. And this withstood a couple drops from the deck. It was really pretty solid. It was like 10, 20 bucks or something like that. I can't remember. But really good tool that I would say definitely get it. It's worth it, especially if you're doing almost 1,000 square foot deck and you're putting in about 800 to 1,000 of the hidden fasteners. Worked really well. The other thing I used, unfortunately, I couldn't find my rubber mallet. I wish I had a rubber mallet, but I used this to smack in boards with my hammer as just a protector so that I could push this board in. I had used this for some laminate flooring in our basement, and it's just useful for not scarring the wood or anything like that. It's still great for that. I would have rather just had a rubber mallet so that I had an extra free hand instead of having to hold it and smack it at the same time. And so this is a definite. The other thing is I had to go out and buy these starter gaps for this end pieces, because it didn't come in the bucket and it didn't come in the set. So all these hidden fasteners didn't come with that starting row that you have to put in whenever you're using your first board that you put. And that, I wanted to get started, realized I didn't have it, and I had to run to Home Depot. So that was kind of a pain. Everything else just progressed pretty slowly. And right now I'm just trying to finalize things, like I said, getting the railing, getting the stairs. But other than that, these were things that really helped. The other thing was just getting a 100-foot tape measure that was $20, wasn't bad at all. And I used that specifically for the large spans that I had to do, where I could measure how much distance I had between, let's say, this point here and all the way here, and then this point here and all the way here, maintaining the same exact distance so that I wasn't getting any weird spacing in my wood as I went along. And so this is like 30 feet, and having this keep me straight in my boards was extremely helpful, and everything ended out pretty straight. I wish I'd had some better live footage of the installation of this. There are people on YouTube that are so much better at this and more patient than I am. I'm kind of in the mindset of, I want to get the work done. I don't really want to stop and share all this stuff, but I'm hoping at least that looking at some of these tools that helped out in the process and a little bit of what the process looked like is helpful to somebody else.